Am I the a-hole for what I said to my sister after she insinuated I should sell a car and give her money? I am 48 years old, married but child-free by choice. It's something my wife and I agreed on early in our relationship. We both have pretty good jobs and are able to afford many expensive items and activities. I attribute this to our jobs, obviously, but also the fact that we are child-free and live in a one-bedroom apartment. I own a manufacturing plant that was given to me from my father. On that property, I store 4 classic cars that I have bought/restored. I have always been a car guy, and I plan to buy another car in the next year too. I have one sister who is younger than me and never made the best decisions in life. She has a boyfriend who she lives with after getting divorced twice. She's also in her late 40s, and she has 2 kids who already seem smarter than their mom. She makes an okay living, but she's the breadwinner while her boyfriend that she lives with spends most of his time stoned and playing Xbox. He's always looking for a new job or blaming the capitalist system for him not having a job. Her daughter 10 is a very good singer. I don't have an ear for talent, but to me she's very good. My sister has wanted to enroll her in lessons with a private coach but cannot afford it. Sister has asked me to help her out, since she is embarrassed to ask our parents and she also does not speak to the father of her daughter. I declined politely, until she made a comment about my money and cars. Just another must-be-nice comment that I'm all too sick of hearing. Now, here is where I made my a-hole comment. I said, maybe if your boyfriend can put down the dope for all of 10 minutes, he can help you out. And I have 5 cars, I'll buy another 5 before I give you a dime. I said her daughter isn't my responsibility. She's got a mother and a father. If they can't figure it out, it doesn't fall on my shoulders. My sister called my wife and told her how mean I was to her. My wife now wants us to give the money, but I don't want to. Sure, we can afford it, but I'm not my sister's welfare. Last bit, I'm sure some of you will make a comment about how I refer to her daughter, not my niece. Well, they live in another state and have for the entirety of her life. I don't see my sister nor her kids much at all, so I don't really know her kids too well. I send them birthday and Christmas gifts, but I'm not close with them. Edit, this is coming up a lot in comments. My sister could have had a stake in the business, but she didn't want to work there. I worked for my dad all my life and learned the business, but she never did. She knew she wouldn't be getting anything with it, and she was okay with that. I also have given financial support to her before. Now for the top comments. Some people here are missing this piece. I declined politely until she made a comment about my money and cars. Just another must-be-nice comment I'm all too sick of hearing. Bolded is my emphasis. So it's been years of making snide and passive-aggressive comments by the sister. The sister that is too ashamed, or too chicken, or just maybe, has depleted the parents' money train because of her constant begging. Maybe she's made too many snippy comments to the parents too, and they've finally had enough. Now, if she'd been nicer all these years, Opie probably wouldn't hesitate to help out. Opie took on the family business. Opie has made it a continued success. Opie made personal choices that resulted in having a comfortable life. Nobody is obligated to help raise or fund their siblings' children. Sister seems to have a habit of making not-so-smart life choices. That is not Opie's problem. Could Opie have been nicer? Less insulting? Sure. But even the most patient people finally have enough. And that's what this sounds like. Not the a-hole. My brother's ex-wife does this every time my mother gives him something. My mother gave him her old car instead of trading it in when she got a new one, and his ex did the "wow, must be nice" sneer and condescend, and my brother just smirked and said, "It is nice." You were honest about your perspective, and it sounds like your sister needs to get in touch with honesty/reality about herself and others. If she's been expecting other people to take greater care of her and her children than she does, that's unrealistic at best. The articulation may have been frank, but it sounds like she needed, and Opie definitely needed, to have a vivid picture painted. I say not the a-hole. She acts this way because she's one of those nothing is ever my fault people. Next story. Am I the a-hole for removing my daughter's bedroom door because she won't stop slamming it? I, 40 female, have 3 kids. Maggie, 14 female, Levi, 12 male, and Charlie, 10 male. Levi and Charlie share a bedroom, and Maggie has her own room as the oldest and also only girl. Maggie's a great kid. She does her homework, helps with chores without too much complaint, doesn't bug her little brothers too much. The issue is that she will not stop slamming her bedroom door. When she gets up to use the bathroom at night, She slams her bedroom door on her way out and back in. When she gets up in the morning or goes to bed at night, she slams it. Pretty much any time she enters or exits her room, the door gets slammed. And it's only her door, none of the other doors in the house. It shakes the walls and frequently wakes up everyone else in the house. Her brother's room shares a wall with hers, and our bedroom is directly above theirs. We've talked to her about it and asked her very politely to please be more mindful about it because it is disturbing the rest of us. But it's in one ear and out the other. We tried being more forceful about it, saying that if she continues to slam her door, there will start to be consequences. Still, nothing changes. It all came to a head the other night when she got up to use the bathroom and all four of us were woken up by the slamming. I have to be up at 5 a.m. for work, and I've had enough of the broken sleep and came downstairs and knocked on her door. She opened it and said, "What?" With such attitude, it took a lot of self-control not to start yelling. I told her as calmly as I could that if she slammed that door one more time, she was going to come home and find it gone. She proceeded to yell at me to leave her alone and then slammed it 5 times as hard as she could. Well, the next day, Friday, she went to school and my husband and I both had a day off, so we took the door off the frame and installed a curtain rod with a nice heavy curtain over the door instead. She came home and freaked the heck out. She said we're being emotionally abusive and taking away her right to privacy. She sulked all weekend and won't talk to us now. My mother says I'm the a-hole because I overreacted, but she doesn't have to deal with the house shaking. I want to add that we completely respect each other's privacy in our house, which is why we hung up a heavy curtain and made sure that we couldn't see through it or around it. We even put little Velcro pieces on the walls and curtain sides so it stays in place. She still has her physical privacy, which she is absolutely entitled to, but can't slam a piece of fabric. We also have never and still don't just go into her room unannounced and still knock on the wall to ask permission to enter. We've told her we'll happily put her door back on once she agrees to respect the no slamming rule. So am I the a-hole? Added to add. 1. The curtain is an industrial type that blocks sound and light. 2. The curtain is only meant to be a temporary measure. As soon as she agrees to stop slamming and be respectful of the shared space, we will put it right back on. 3. The door isn't broken or malfunctioning in any way, and there is no draft causing it to swing shut. Not the a-hole. Interrupting everyone's sleep is unacceptable. You gave her plenty of opportunities to change the door slamming behavior, and she didn't do it. Let her sulk it out for a set amount of time. Let her know this amount. 1 week, 3 days, whatever you choose, then return the door conditionally for a trial. If she can refrain from slamming it, the door gets taken off again for even more time. Rinse and repeat until she no longer slams. The slamming it a few times in a row was the point where the door had to go. Opie's daughter might not have meant to wake others, but at that point, it was teenage spite. My nephew lost his door for slamming it, but when he got it back, he requested padding to help cushion the door. He actually lost the door when he slammed it shut and broke his little brother's foot during an argument. I think that made him feel worse than the actual grounding. My mother would have tanned my hide if I ever slammed a door spitefully, let alone waking up the whole household in the middle of the night. Different times, I know, but kids these days. Not the a-hole. That's what I call checkmate. You're teaching your kid a valuable lesson, that actions have consequences. And she's even able to reverse this decision if she agrees to not slam, which for some reason she won't agree to it. P.S. The curtain was a great touch. I think she'll agree once she's done sulking. She's digging her heels right now because she's a 14-year-old carbon copy of me. Once it goes back on though, I won't even mention the situation again, as long as the slamming doesn't start up again. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my dad he and his wife need to look at themselves for the reason her son is struggling? My dad has me, 16 male, and my brother, 11 male, and our mom died 8 years ago. Dad met Chantel 6 years ago, and they got married 2 years ago. Her son is 10, and my brother and I have known Chantel and her son for almost 4 years now. Chantel's son, Kyle, is an only child, has no dad, no extended family, so he latched onto me fiercely when we met. It was frustrating how he'd insert himself into stuff with my brother. He'd invite himself along, he would try to touch me and hold on to me, and my dad and Chantel told me to allow it and hug him when I'd tell them it made me uncomfortable and annoyed me. Eventually, I started to stop him and tell him not to touch me and not to cling to me. Dad and Chantel realized the three of us hadn't bonded the way they wanted us to. for Kyle. So they insisted on leaving me with both him and my brother and having me babysit them while they left the house. This was during the day and night. Dad would also set up times where I had to take them to the park. So I should bring up my brother and I are close, like super close. We lost our mom, all 4 grandparents, and our only uncle, though we have aunts, in the space of like 3 years. Losing them made us closer. I was always an affectionate big brother, my mom used to say, and our relationship is so easy and natural that we hug, or I'll ruffle his hair, or he'll sit on me sometimes if he wants something. None of it is forced, and it just kind of happens. Kyle saw a lot of that during the forced babysitting, the forced park trips, etc. And he never got to hang all over me, or be my shadow like he wanted, and I'm not affectionate with him. And it's caused him a lot of trouble dealing with stuff. Chantel was concerned, and so we went to therapy for that. He admitted to being jealous and that he hates my brother, but he also wants me all to himself. He's still in therapy, but he told Chantel that he's never going to be happy not being my brother. Chantel and Dad blamed it all on me. They said I had a responsibility to Kyle to be a good brother to him, and that it was my job as the oldest to look out for him and make sure I was loving him the same as I love my brother. My dad has brought it up a couple of times on his own as well. At the last time, I told him that he and Chantel should look at themselves because they knew Kyle was seriously clinging with me, and they sent him out with me and my brother knowing we're close and have an affectionate relationship, and did nothing to make sure we'd be okay. He told me I should have put my own feelings aside and done what Kyle needed me to do, and Chantel was like, how dare I blame them? And she called me evil for blaming them when I have destroyed her son. Am I the a-hole? Now for the comments. Not the a-hole. And yes, it is her father and stepmother's fault. Kyle should have been told that the two of you are brothers. Plus, you've both suffered the same serious losses in a very short time. That means the two of you have a special bond. Kyle needs to be taught his bond with you will be different because of that. And he cannot force it, otherwise that will only drive you further away. And no one should ever be forced to accept affection and clinginess from someone if it makes them uncomfortable. You have the right to pick and choose who's allowed to touch you. I worry about you, to be blunt. In a few years, you're going to be able to live on your own, and you're going to want to have contact with your brother. I suspect your father and Chantel will forbid your brother from coming to see you unless Kyle can go too. Perhaps if you could persuade your father and stepmother into family therapy, the perspective of a qualified professional might help you. I worry about the brother too if Kyle has that much animosity against him and wants him out of the picture. Not the a-hole. Harsh truth time. He is not your brother. He's the child of the woman your dad married and nothing else to you. There was nothing wrong with that. Feelings cannot and should not be forced. Them forcing him upon you is a surefire way to ensure that you will never see him as anything other than annoyance. Why do parents and step-parents on here always think they can force relationships? It's so obviously going to breed resentment and tension and backfire every time. Not the a-hole. Last story. Am I the a-hole for not wanting to cancel our honeymoon despite what happened with my brother-in-law? My husband, male 32, and I, female 24, just got married 3 weeks ago, and we are currently celebrating our honeymoon. The plan was to travel for 2 months for different countries of Europe, Asia, and Africa. We currently are in Spain, and we are supposed to take a plane to Morocco in 2 days. However, my husband wants to cut the trip short and go back to our home now. The thing is, his brother is in a horrible situation. His wife and daughter had a car crash, and they're in the hospital. The kid is fine, but his wife has to be a little longer in the hospital. That's all I know. I told my husband that I understand he wants to support his brother, but he's not a doctor, so he can't do anything to help really. And his brother's wife is fine. She probably only has a broken leg or something, and that's why she needs some more days in the hospital. I told him to just call his brother and ask to talk to his wife, so he can send her his best wishes, and that's all that he can do honestly. His parents and his in-laws are helping with the kids, so there's really nothing they need help in. I told him our honeymoon was important, because it's a time for ourselves to enjoy and spend together. He wasn't having any of it. He called me selfish and then he kicked me out of our bedroom. I had to ask for a new one until he decided to let me in again. He told me that he's leaving tomorrow because he needs to be supportive of his brother, and told me I can continue the trip by myself. But that's not the point of a honeymoon at all. I told him so, and he said that if he would have known how witchy I was, he would have never dated me. Am I really wrong here? Doesn't matter how well your in-laws are doing. The only important thing here is that your husband doesn't feel right staying away from his family in this time of need. Your husband is not having fun with you right now. He is not enjoying your company because his mind is elsewhere and he is worried for his brother. Yes, it is 100% wrong of you to ask him to disregard his own feeling just so he can keep you company for your own little sake. You're the a-hole. I agree, but I find it very weird that according to OP, her husband knows what is wrong and is refusing to tell her. She wants to call the hospital and see, but he also doesn't want that. It would get me thinking what was going on, to be honest. I think not the a-hole or everyone sucks here. Unpopular opinion, but not the a-hole. No one died or is on life support from the sounds of it. No major surgeries and the brother has support. I would not expect my brother to cut his honeymoon short to come home, especially if I had several others helping me out already. If someone had died, was near death, or was severely disabled, it would be different. Yeah, my partner had a severe work accident that resulted in him being hospitalized for over a month. His family was there for us, and my parents. I would have been really confused if any of my siblings have canceled a really big trip to come sit at a hospital with us. A phone call and checking in to see how things were going was fine, not the a-hole. Yes, maybe I'm biased because I'm not close to my family at all, but sounds like they're coping and have a solid support network. It sucks it happened, and it sounds traumatic, but FaceTime is a thing. Also, on the flip side, if I was in a wreck and ended up needing to spend a week or two in the hospital, I would not want my sibling or anyone to cancel their honeymoon/holiday to come see me if it's been established a death is not imminent. Not the a-hole.